In the outskirts of a small, forgotten town stood an imposing mansion, shrouded in a perpetual fog. Locals spoke of its dark history. The mansion was once home to the reclusive Harrington family, whose members mysteriously disappeared one fateful night. The air around the mansion carried an otherworldly chill, and those who dared to approach spoke of eerie whispers that seemed to emanate from the decaying walls. The disappearances of the Harrington family baffled investigators. No traces were found, no clues left behind. The mansion, now abandoned for decades, became a beacon of curiosity for paranormal enthusiasts and thrill-seekers eager to uncover the truth. Among them was Sarah Thompson, a fearless investigative journalist drawn to the allure of the unsolved mystery. Sarah delved into the town's archives and uncovered the Harrington family's journal, a cryptic record of their descent into madness. The entries detailed strange occurrences, unearthly sounds, and ominous visions that plagued the family in the weeks leading up to their disappearance. As Sarah read, an unease settled over her, a feeling that the mansion held secrets beyond her comprehension. Undeterred by the ominous warnings, Sarah embarked on a moonlit expedition to the abandoned mansion. The fog thickened as she approached, and the atmosphere seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. Sarah's footsteps echoed through the empty halls as she explored the decaying rooms, guided only by the dim glow of her flashlight. As Sarah delved deeper into the mansion, she felt a haunting presence, a force that watched her every move. Shadows danced on the walls, and whispers filled the air. The oppressive silence was broken only by the creaking of floorboards and the distant howl of the wind. The mansion, it seemed, was not as abandoned as it appeared. In a forgotten study, Sarah discovered a portrait of the Harrington family. The eyes of the family members seemed to follow her every move. As she studied the portrait, the air grew colder and the whispers intensified. The feeling of being watched escalated, and Sarah couldn't shake the unnerving sensation that the Harrington spirits were present, trapped within the confines of the mansion. In a dimly lit hallway, Sarah encountered a spectral apparition, a figure dressed in antiquated clothing, its face obscured by shadows. The ghostly figure extended a hand, its voice a mournful murmur. "Beware," it whispered, "the mansion is a vessel for the tormented souls. Leave before it claims you too." The warning lingered in the air as the apparition dissolved into the shadows. Undeterred by the warnings, Sarah pressed on, determined to unravel the mystery. In a hidden chamber, she discovered a collection of artifacts, a dusty piano, faded photographs, and a tattered diary. The diary recounted the family's descent into madness, describing visions of a shadowy entity that hungered for their souls. The pages hinted at a forbidden ritual that had bound the Harringtons to the mansion. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Sarah delved into the diary's accounts of the ritual. The Harringtons, desperate to escape the clutches of the shadow entity, had attempted a forbidden ceremony that promised salvation. The ritual, however, went awry, trapping the family within a nightmarish realm between the living and the dead. As Sarah read, the shadows in the chamber seemed to stir, as if awakening from a long slumber. As Sarah ventured further into the mansion, the darkness intensified. The shadows, once passive observers, now seemed to writhe with malevolence. Sarah's flashlight flickered, casting elongated shadows that danced on the walls. Whispers echoed through the corridors, growing louder with each step. The mansion, it appeared, resisted her intrusion, as if safeguarding the unspeakable secrets hidden within its decaying walls. Sarah, undeterred by the growing malevolence, found herself in the mansion's grand ballroom. A dilapidated grand piano sat in the center, its keys coated in a layer of dust. Against her better judgment, she touched the keys, producing an otherworldly melody that echoed through the mansion. As the haunting notes filled the air, shadows gathered in the corners, coalescing into an ominous figure, a manifestation of the cursed ritual. The figure in the shadows spoke in a disembodied voice, recounting the agony of the failed ritual and the torment that bound the Harringtons to the mansion. The shadows seemed to seep into Sarah's consciousness, blurring the lines between reality and nightmare. Visions of the Harrington family's descent into madness flashed before her eyes, each moment more harrowing than the last. Sarah, grappling with the encroaching darkness, uncovered a secret chamber concealed behind a tapestry. Within she found a weathered tome, the cursed contract forged between the Harringtons and the shadow entity. The pages revealed an unholy bargain, exchanging the family's souls for untold power. Sarah's hands trembled as she read, realizing that the same malevolent force now sought to ensnare her within its inescapable grasp. The cursed melody intensified, resonating with the energy of the mansion's dark history. Shadows twisted and contorted, forming a nightmarish tableau that mirrored the Harrington family's ill-fated ritual. Sarah, caught in the spectral maelstrom, felt the boundary between the living and the dead unraveling, a sinister force seeking to entrap her soul within the mansion's eternal embrace. In the midst of the spectral chaos, Sarah heard the anguished echoes of the Harrington family, their pleas for release and the desperate cries of souls ensnared in a realm beyond the living. The shadows, now animated by the force of the ritual, reached out like skeletal fingers, threatening to pull her into the same nightmarish abyss that had claimed the family decades ago. Sarah, determined to break free from the mansion's grasp, sought a way to unravel the ritual's dark influence. The diary hinted at a forgotten artifact, an amulet that had once held the key to dispelling the shadow entity. With each step, the mansion's reality fractured, revealing glimpses of a nightmarish realm where time itself seemed to warp and twist. As Sarah approached the artifact's rumored location, she encountered a malevolent guardian, a spectral entity bound to protect the cursed amulet. The guardian, a twisted amalgamation of shadows and despair, barred her path with outstretched tendrils. Sarah, armed with newfound determination, faced the guardian in a battle that transcended the physical and delved into the very fabric of the supernatural. The struggle against the malevolent guardian was arduous, but Sarah, driven by an indomitable will, managed to retrieve the forgotten amulet. As she clasped it in her hands, the amulet emanated a radiant energy, dispelling the encroaching shadows and restoring a semblance of order to the mansion. The cursed melody faded, replaced by an eerie silence that hung heavy in the air. With the amulet in her possession, Sarah sensed the mansion's residual echoes, a chorus of spectral whispers and lingering shadows that recoiled from the amulet's purifying light. The air, once thick with malevolence, now carried a newfound clarity. However, Sarah understood that the mansion's depths still concealed secrets, and the ritual's influence lingered in the hidden recesses of the decaying estate. As Sarah delved into the mansion's remaining mysteries, she uncovered the source of the lingering curse, a malevolent entity that clung to the shadows, eternally hungering for souls. The diary's final entries hinted at a ritual to banish the entity, a desperate attempt by the Harrington family to sever their ties to the otherworldly force. Armed with the amulet, Sarah prepared to confront the malevolent entity and bring an end to the cursed legacy that gripped the mansion. Guided by the diary's cryptic instructions, Sarah ventured into the mansion's hidden chambers, amulet in hand. The air grew thick with an otherworldly tension as she approached the ritual site, an ancient altar concealed beneath layers of dust and decay. The diary spoke of a ritual to commune with the malevolent entity, a dangerous gambit to confront the shadows that clung to the mansion's very soul. As Sarah began the ritual, the mansion trembled with an unholy resonance. Shadows coalesced, swirling around the altar, and a sinister presence materialized, an embodiment of the malevolent entity that had plagued the Harrington family for generations. The entity's form, a shifting mass of darkness and despair, exuded a palpable malevolence that tested the limits of Sarah's resolve. The malevolent entity, aware of Sarah's intrusion, spoke with a voice that echoed through the corridors of the mansion. It offered a sinister bargain, freedom from the mansion's grasp in exchange for Sarah's soul. The shadows whispered promises of untold power and forbidden knowledge, enticing her to succumb to the very darkness she sought to vanquish. Sarah, fortified by the amulet's radiant energy, resisted the entity's seductive whispers. With each defiant step, the amulet's light intensified, casting a protective barrier that repelled the encroaching shadows. The mansion, once a silent observer, seemed to groan in protest as the ritual unfolded. A battle between the forces of light and the insidious entity that clung to the remnants of its cursed existence. The ritual intensified, and echoes of the Harrington family's despair reverberated through the mansion. Sarah, caught in the spectral tempest, glimpsed fragments of their tortured existence, their attempts to break free, the agonizing moments of realization, and the perpetual torment that bound them to the mansion's haunted corridors. As the ritual reached its zenith, the malevolent entity strained against the amulet's radiant barrier. Shadows lashed out, attempting to snuff out the protective light. Sarah, her resolve tested the breaking point, fought to maintain control over the ritual. The very fabric of reality seemed to waver, threatening to collapse under the weight of the supernatural forces at play. In a climactic confrontation, Sarah faced the malevolent entity head-on. The amulet's light clashed with the entity's darkness, creating an ethereal battleground within the mansion's depths. The struggle transcended the physical realm, delving into the metaphysical, a clash of opposing forces that echoed through the haunted halls. With a final surge of determination, Sarah channeled the amulet's energy into a blinding burst of light. The mansion convulsed as the malevolent entity shrieked, its form dissipating into nothingness. The shadows recoiled, retreating from the amulet's purifying radiance. The curse that had gripped the mansion for decades began to unravel, banished by the triumphant culmination of Sarah's arduous journey. As the echoes of the supernatural battle faded, a profound quiet settled over the mansion. The air, once heavy with malevolence, now felt serene. Sarah, exhausted but victorious, stood amidst the remnants of the ritual. The amulet, still aglow with residual energy, hung from her trembling hand, its purpose fulfilled. In the aftermath of the banishment, Sarah sensed a transformative shift within the mansion. The veil between the living and the dead, once impenetrable, now seemed torn. Shadows dissipated, revealing the mansion's true form, a decaying yet eerily beautiful estate, freed from the shackles of its haunted past. The story of the abandoned mansion, fraught with curses and malevolent entities, had reached its conclusion. Whether Sarah's actions had truly liberated the spirits or merely shifted the balance between light and shadow remained an enigma, a lingering mystery that whispered through the restored corridors of the mansion.